Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Flame Emperor episode number 14 based on novel. So let's start. Superior. Since you don't appreciate it at all, don't blame us for being ruthless. The white-haired old man Bing Tian said to another person. Bing Wu also heard Bing Tian's words, and immediately flew towards the place where Bing Tian was, and the seal was constantly changing in his hand, as if something was brewing. Bing Tian raised the dragon-headed cane high, muttering some strange terms in his mouth. A strange scene appeared. Bing Tian's high-raised dragon-headed crutches actually emitted a whitish-white mist. The bloodthirsty dragon lizard saw these humans in front of him, especially the two old men leading the team. The peak of the two 3-star fighting emperors. Although the strength of the magic dragon is comparable to that of a 4-star DI human being, these despicable humans sneak up on themselves while they are sleeping, resulting in scars on their bodies, and their strength has dropped a lot. At this moment, the bloodthirsty dragon lizard showed its wisdom that is not inferior to human beings. Looking at the techniques of Bing Tian and Bing Wu, it can clearly feel that this is the last resort. Immediately, his entrenched body trembled, and his eyes stared at the two who were forming a formation in front of him. The huge dragon pupils stared at Bing Tian and Bing Wu, and the two of them only felt their whole body tremble, and they didn't care about the 3,721 because they both knew that if they didn't get rid of this bloodthirsty dragon lizard today, then they will be wiped out. And when I think of not being able to complete the tasks assigned by the sect, if I go back, that kind of torture will be unbearable for ordinary people. Can't lose. Fight. A belief appeared in the hearts of both of them. Saying that, the two of them quickened their movements. The originally dark sky turned into a cloud of mist. Looking at the discolored sky, the bloodthirsty dragon lizard secretly said that it was not good, but how could the unyielding spirit of the dragon race allow such an arrogant creature to escape? Taking a deep breath, the dragon lizard roared out at the cave. This roar seems simple, but the dragon lizard contains an extremely powerful sonic attack. Circle after circle attacked away from the cave. When directly attacking Solomon's disciples, the demon dragon lizard also knows that what he can do now is to greatly reduce their number, so that his subordinates have the opportunity to fight the war of attrition. Boom boom boom. The people of Solomon, who were resisting the other beasts, didn't notice the dragon's actions, but were surprised to feel the powerful sound waves. Some weak people couldn't help being festered by the sudden attack of the dragon, and some held their heads tightly. Obviously, their strength was low and they had no means to prevent this kind of sonic attack, so Solomon's people were terrible. More than a third of the dead. How could Bing Tian and Bing Wu not be angry with him? Beast! I originally wanted to borrow some of your dragon's blood to complete a great experiment for us, but now you have angered us, so you must die today. Ha ha ha. The despicable and shameless human beings still want to borrow my blood. Is the blood of our noble dragon demon beasts yours? Besides, you plotted against me first, and their deaths are just to atone for your sins. Don't worry, you are very happy. I'll go with them soon. The bloodthirsty dragon lizard was also the overlord of the party, and immediately shouted at Bing Tian. All Solomon disciples obey the order and form a formation. Bing Tian's eyes were also red. Hearing the cold shout resounding through the cave, most of the remaining Solomon disciples froze for a moment. After a little hesitation, they responded in unison and slowly closed their eyes. After a while, strands of white energy emerged from the top of the Solomon disciples' heads. Penetrated from above. A steady stream of white fog energy rose into the sky, and finally almost covered the entire sky. At first glance, it looked like it was in a sea of clouds, and the ice sky and ice fog were in the center of the sea of clouds to control the formation. Everyone, help me! Bing Tian shouted again, coldly looking at the surrounding cloud energy. The blood stains on his face due to the sonic attack of the demon dragon had formed blood scars at this moment, which looked particularly terrifying. As Bing Tian's shouts fell, the dozen or so white-robed disciples on the stone platform immediately stood up, and with a jump, they quickly separated, and then shot to some big trees around the square with their hands printed on them. The knots moved at the same time, and with the movements of their handprints, the sea of clouds that filled the sky also suddenly fluctuated. At the center of the sea of clouds, the energy of the cloud chi rapidly condensed and covered the entire cave in an instant. Oops! The bloodthirsty dragon who didn't agree at the beginning couldn't help roaring when he saw the completion of the Great Formation, because of its strength, he also felt a sense of destruction from the Great Formation. The power of... Oh, it's actually a double-chained dragon pillar. The Golden Dragon King also said to Xiao Yan, "What is the double-chain dragon pillar?" Xiao Yan looked at the center of the battle, and the Bing Tian and Bing Wu who controlled the formation seemed to be part of the big formation at this time. On the other hand, the situation of the magic dragon was extremely bad. The so-called double-chain dragon pillar is a kind of ceiling formation, but this ceiling formation will have unexpected effects when dealing with dragon monsters. In other words, it is the nemesis of dragon monsters. The Golden Dragon King also explained to Xiao Yan. Road? Xiao Yan frowned upon hearing this. Don't worry, I haven't paid attention to this level of ceiling formation. It's okay to deal with bloodthirsty demon dragons with impure bloodlines. If you want to seal me, I can kill them with one finger. Are also dragon monsters. The former is a monster with a trace of dragon blood, while the latter is a genuine Golden Dragon King. But I always think the so-called Solomon people are weird. The Golden Dragon King said in a voice that only he could hear. Xiao Yang did not doubt the authenticity of the words of the Golden Dragon King. Then he turned his attention to the battle. Xiao Yang also deliberately strengthened the soul power covering himself and Yueru, because he was afraid of being discovered by others. Although the soul power of the people here is much weaker than that of Xiao Yang, there is no harm in being careful. Strange, Xiao Yang is clearly here, why can't I feel his breath, said a girl in a colorful skirt. Miss, there seems to be traces of fighting in the cave ahead. Shall we go and have a look? Followed the girl's entourage to explore the way back. I don't know what's wrong, why the eldest young lady of my own family doesn't want to take good luck and wants to come to Xiao Yang, but the mission of these followers is to protect the young lady, and they don't dare to ask any more questions. Go? Xiao Yang, you can't escape from my palm. The girl slowly and playfully rushed towards the cave. Looking carefully, this playful girl is actually Feng Yi. Boom boom boom. The great formation controlled by Bing Tian and Bing Wu was also completed at this moment. I saw clouds and mist covering the entire sky, and two sky-piercing beams of light appeared in the center of the rolling cloud and mist ground formation, piercing the sky. The bloodthirsty dragon lizard felt an extreme fear from the two beams of light, followed by the hysterical roar of the bloodthirsty dragon lizard. The seal formation? Isn't the double-chain dragon pillar lost? How could it be in your hands? Ha ha ha. You don't need to know this, we will naturally be well prepared to deal with you. Bing Tian controlled the sky-piercing beam of light and whizzed away at the dragon lizard. Bing Tian flashed past with two beams of light reaching the sky. In an instant, he came to the front of the bloodthirsty dragon lizard. Bang bang bang. A series of two sky-penetrating beams of light like chains surrounded the bloodthirsty dragon lizard. When the bloodthirsty dragon lizard saw this, the secret path was not good. It was surrounded by these two pillars of light, and its own power seemed to be rapidly declining. It's really worthy of being a dragon pillar. It has such a powerful and overwhelming suppression on the bloodthirsty dragon lizards that have some trace of dragon blood. Xiao Yang looked at the bloodthirsty demons who were being forced to retreat. Dragon lizard road. Boom boom boom. The passionate dragon roar rioted wildly with the tail of the bloodthirsty dragon lizard. At this moment, the entire cave was also swept away by the bloodthirsty dragon lizard. It was no longer what it used to be. The dragon's tail brought a streak of terrifying energy that could rival the peak of the 4-star Do Emperor and attacked the ice sky. Suffer to death. Bing Tian shouted loudly, then shot at the dragon lizard. Obviously, Bing Tian also noticed that the strength of the dragon lizard was being madly suppressed by the dragon pillar. How long would it be if he didn't attack at this time? Dong dong dong. The beam of light through the sky seemed to possess intelligence, deftly deflected the attack of the demon dragon, and then strung it towards the demon dragon lizard under the blessing of Bing Tian's body covered in white mist. The bloodthirsty dragon lizard also saw this clever sky-penetrating beam of light, and just wanted to avoid it, but unexpectedly, the space he was in was already sealed by the double-chain dragon column sealing array, and the cave of his own the space was sealed extremely seriously. The pupils of the bloodthirsty dragon lizard were suddenly covered with a layer of scarlet color at this time, making people look very strange. It is also clear that this double-chain dragon pillar is worthy of its name as the nemesis of dragon monsters, and once one is locked by this chain, it is very likely that it will be damaged today. When he thought that he, who possessed the blood of the dragon race, could be forced to be so embarrassed by humans, when he thought that if he were to be damaged today, then the consequences could be imagined. Dragon has always been arrogant. Even a bloodthirsty dragon with only a trace of silk dragon blood is no exception. Did the bloodthirsty dragon lizard give up resistance at this time? You also stared blankly at the demon dragon who did not move at all in the face of Swalongju. It shouldn't be. Have you noticed the change in the pupils of the dragon? The more powerful the beast, the harder it is to kill, and the more powerful the beast has three forms: a lurking form, a fighting form, and a violent form. The latent form is the weakest of the monsters. This form of monsters will hide and disguise, and will not reveal too much power, while the fighting form uses most of the power of the monsters, which is several times stronger than the hidden shape. If it is a monster forced into a desperate situation, it will be the last desperate means. The violent form, this form of beast is the most terrifying, and it is more than several times stronger than the previous two forms. Look at the demon dragon carefully, the bloodthirsty dragon lizard. The bloodthirsty dragon lizard, his violent form may be related to bloodthirsty. Xiao Yan also spoke slowly. Yueru also looked at Xiao Yan with a bit of surprise. The latter not only has outstanding strength, but also has superb refining skills. The most important thing is that he is a bold and careful person, staring blankly at Xiao Yan, not knowing what he is thinking. What Xiao Yan knew was naturally what the Golden Dragon King told him. Otherwise, how could Xiao Yan know so many secrets? He immediately raised his head and looked at the bloodthirsty dragon in battle. Awesome, I didn't pay attention to Dao Yueru at all. The battle is in full swing. Bingwu looked at the dragon lizard as if it had given up resistance, and two sky-penetrating beams of light gradually wrapped around its tail and dragon claws. Ha ha ha. Bingwu couldn't help laughing, thinking that he could complete the mission by sealing the dragon. Bingwu couldn't help but let out a long sigh of relief. Not good. Although Bingtian didn't know the different forms of beasts, when he saw the pupils of the demon dragon trapped by the dragon lock pillar, his eyes changed greatly. How can it be? Humans! I said that you will pay the price. The demon dragon lizard said fiercely as it stared at the people in the cave. The natural talent of the bloodthirsty dragon lizard. Bloodthirsty. A circle of red protective film is formed around the dragon lizard. Bloodthirsty not only gives the bloodthirsty dragon an amazing protective film, but also greatly increases the attack power of the bloodthirsty dragon in a short period of time. It can be said rudely, even if the current bloodthirsty dragon lizard is trapped by the dragon pillar, and its strength is suppressed to the level of a human 3-star fighting emperor, that the protective film of the dragon is not Bingwu Bingtian. These people can work together. It was opened, and the attack of the bloodthirsty dragon lizard was stronger than the previous one. 5 minutes. Bloodlust can last 5 minutes. Don't say 5 minutes, even 1 second can decide whether the battle will be won or lost. As we all know, every beast will be born with natural talents, but very few of them can successfully cultivate. Bingtian and the others obviously know it, but they did not expect that this bloodthirsty dragon lizard actually succeeded in cultivation. Even if the bloodthirsty dragon lizard was trapped by the dragon pillar, it held up its arrogant head under the bloodthirsty violent form, and a stream of hot energy was brewing in the dragon's mouth. It is the most powerful attack method of dragons. Dragon breath. At this time, the bloodthirsty dragon lizard's dragon breath in its bloodthirsty form, even Bingtian and Bingwu, are not at all sure that they can take it. Damn, it's still a wrong move. Bingtian said viciously. What do I do now? Bingwu also frowned. Although the bloodthirsty dragon in front of him was trapped by the dragon chain, its protective film with astonishing defense power required all efforts to crack it. Even if it was a 5-star DI powerhouse can't run. Bingtian also calmly analyzed at this time. Immediately, looking at the clouds and mist in the sky and the remaining Solomon disciples, a trace of chill flashed in his eyes. This is the only way now. Solomon disciple obey. Blood sacrifice. Bingtian shouted loudly. The Bingtian blood sacrifice had just been drunk out, and the dozens of Solomon's remaining disciples were running around as if they had met a ghost, because they also knew that the so-called blood sacrifice was to use blood as a sacrifice, condensed on one person's body, a powerful burst of power in a short period of time. In other words, it doesn't make any difference to let them, the disciples of Solomon, die. Death to me. Bingtian turned into a huge and hideous face with a distorted smile, and when he opened his mouth to the Solomon disciples who were about to run away, he devoured them. If you take something that doesn't belong to you, it's time to return it. Bingtian apparently said to the seriously injured Bingwu. Whoosh! Bingwu also hurried back, and he also knew that the Bingtian at this time was no longer the original Bingtian. Phut! Bingwu didn't escape in an instant and was directly swallowed by Bingtian. Without exception, Solomon's disciples were all swallowed up by Bingtian. That Bingtian's strength is also skyrocketing at this moment. The initial stage of the 4-star Do D. The middle stage of the 4-star Do D. 4-star Do D late stage. This emperor is really powerful. The strength of the 4-star fighting emperor in the late stage is so suppressed. I'm afraid I can persist in it for a minute. However, 1 minute is enough to solve you, little beast. Bing Qian looked at the bloodthirsty dragon, smiling a bit evil and looking very strange. This ice day is really worse than a beast. Even his own brothers and sect disciples were all devoured. It is as abominable as the Soul Clan on the Do-Chi continent. As expected, moths can be found everywhere. Xiao Yan looked at the black Do-Chi surrounding him. Ice sky, the atmosphere said. If a person has no emotions, it is no different from wild monsters with low intelligence. The difference between humans and low-intelligence monsters is that they have emotions. Xiao Yan couldn't help clenching his fists. This kind of person really deserves to be executed by everyone. The Golden Dragon King silently watched Xiao Yan's every move, and nodded with satisfaction, to all she really did not see the wrong person. Then he muttered to himself, a blood sacrifice? This sin really penetrated deep enough. It seems that there should be some problems with this so-called Solomon. The battle has reached the white-hot stage. Being able to force me to do this is not worth the name of your bloodthirsty dragon lizard. Bing Qian was covered in black aura, which made him look very strange, and then he roared. Bing Qian roared with awe-inspiring murderous intent. The sound of thunder rolled endlessly over the cave, causing the entire cave to be silent for a moment, and one after another, with some horrified beast eyes, shot in the direction from which the sound came. This roar naturally also spread to the bloodthirsty dragon lizard above the cave. At the moment, all the beasts made a sound of shock and stopped. They all knew that this was between the two powerhouses. During the battle, his eyes looked in the direction of the voice, and finally stopped in the direction of Bing Qian. It seems that you Solomon have coveted my blood for a long time. The dragon lizard also thought coldly. The dragon breath of the dragon lizard and the attack of the ice sky are brewing sooner rather than later. They all know that there is no need to hide and tuck the battle until now. The last blow can decide the winner or loser. I saw that the scarlet protective film covered by the bloodthirsty dragon lizard was particularly eye-catching. It perfectly covered the entire body of the dragon like heaven, and the temperature of the dragon's mouth was also swallowed by the ice sky. When it was completed, it became more and more hot, and the space was slightly broken. In this bloodthirsty form, the dragon's breath is so terrifying. Puff puff. The terrifying dragon breath spit out from the bloodthirsty dragon's mouth, attacking towards the ice sky. The terrifying dragon breath contains the power of destruction. Ordinary 4-star Do-Di powerhouses will be severely injured by the scorching heat even if they touch a little bit. Bing Qian's black vindictive energy instantly formed a jet-black beam of strange light in front of him. The sound of mourning could not be heard in the beam of light. Many arms stretched out around the beam of light, breathing out at the dragon's dragon. Resist? After this, Bing Qian devoured everyone in the group. His power skyrocketed so terrifyingly, and now the extremely confident Bing Qian also intends to resist the dragon's breath. This Bing Qian is really arrogant, but he has arrogant capital. Xiao Yan also secretly exclaimed. However, according to the current battle, the bloodthirsty dragon is also in a violent form, and the last bloodthirsty talent is also used. On the other hand, where Bing Qian is, all the people of Solomon on this trip were devoured by him alone, although the strength has soared, breaking through the limitations of this different space. However, the limitation of this space only restricts the powerhouses above the 4-star Do Emperor from being able to enter and exit easily, but if they break through to the 4-star Do Emperor in this space, it will be different. But the most important thing is that they are all working hard, and then they die from exhaustion. Yueru, listen to my instructions and wait for an opportunity later. Xiao Yan also tilted his head and said quietly. Little Yanzi, don't worry, I feel a few breaths coming here, like someone who has fought with you before. The Golden Dragon King not only watched the fight in the cave, but also kept his attention scattered all the time. Space, and then said to Xiao Yang who was staring at the cave. Huh? Xiao Yang was also depressed. Now there is no time to take care of other things, first get the magic core, then he is more and more careful to hide. The bloodthirsty dragon's breath is indeed powerful enough to rival a 5-star duty powerhouse. Even if Bing Qian devoured the skyrocketing power of many colleagues, it was quite difficult to deal with. Boom boom boom. The dragon's breath and the icy black beam of light were viciously mixed together. Two dazzling beams of light confront each other. It's not that it's difficult to use your own power after all, right? The bloodthirsty dragon also shouted loudly, and the crooked way was still inferior. Suddenly, before the dragon's words were finished, the terrifying dragon breath instantly drowned the black beam of light emanating from Bingtian. The place where Bingtian was originally was attacked by the breath of the dragon, and with Bingtian as the center, a circle of hot and terrifying ripples rippled out. This ice sky actually went wrong on the way. Directly killed by the dragon breath, the strongest attack of the demon dragon? The twists and turns of the plot obviously made the bloodthirsty dragon relax. Isn't our dragon race comparable to you humans with low bloodline? It's really not a pity to die. Although the dragon said so, he spit out a few mouthfuls of dragon breath in a row to prevent any changes. Boom boom boom. The magic dragon also fell away at that instant, smashing to the ground ruthlessly. Obviously, the dragon's breath and bloodthirsty talents consume a lot of the power and even the vitality of the dragon, but it is not worth the loss if the life is saved. The dragon's eyes closed slightly at this time. It was weak, and now it can be easily killed by even a human being of a 2-star fighting emperor. A dragon-headed crutch was silently inserted into the dying bloodthirsty dragon's head. It's over now. Jiang is still old and hot. The Bingtian who had disappeared suddenly appeared, with a tattered figure and some black blood, and the whole person looked even more ferocious. When the bloodthirsty dragon fell, the protective film covering the body surface was automatically released. It was not the time. The main reason was that the bloodthirsty dragon was too weak, and maintaining this bloodthirsty form was extremely consuming. Vitality. But the magic dragon obviously underestimated the cunning of human beings. Until the dragon head crutches struck fatally, the magic dragon's pupils were still wide open, as if he didn't believe that Bingtian could survive under his own dragon's breath. I can't bear the child and can't catch the wolf. Bingtian also responded to the last question of the dragon, and then began to collect the blood and core of the dragon. Just when Bingtian was just about to deal with the dragon, a wave of blue and silver alternated, as if the fierce fighting spirit formed by the fusion of strong wind and thunder, also shot out along a section of silk and satin, and finally collided with Bingtian fiercely. Bingtian, I didn't expect me to find you here, go to hell. The girl in the colorful dress said to the hideous Bingtian in front of her. The city lord of their Fenglei city, Feng Yi's father, lost an arm and a leg because of the unprovoked pursuit of Solomon's elders. This has always been a shame to their Fenglei city. Moreover, her father loves Feng Yi the most, and Feng Yi swears that she will never share the sky with Solomon in this life. Bingtian just ended a war, and now is the time of weakness. Seeing the girl in the colorful dress in front of her and the people around her, she couldn't help but say in despair. 5 3-star fighting emperors. Ha ha ha. It's actually the remnant of the Fenglei family. If it wasn't for your father who desperately protected you, you might look different now. Bingtian also looked greedily at the girl in the colorful dress named Feng Yi. Today is your day of death. Feng Yi said plainly, but anyone could see the frenzy in his eyes. Finally, I'm finally going to kill the enemy. Father, I will report your shame. Feng Yi roared in his heart. The entourage who was in charge of protecting the young lady saw that the young lady was emotionally disturbed, and hurriedly tried to stop the young lady, but found a dark figure attacking Feng Yi. I can't live, but none of you want to live. Ha ha ha. Bingtian quickly approached Feng Yi. Looking at the icy sky that was rushing towards him, his body was rapidly expanding, and his body was exuding thick black air. Obviously he wanted to die with Feng Yi. Although the girl in the colorful dress was a little excited, she still did not lose her sense of reason. Seeing Bingtian whistling towards her, her body was covered in black energy and she couldn't help frowning slightly, biting her lips lightly. Even in Bingtian, who was seriously injured now, the girl in the colorful skirt felt a terrifying aura from the black energy. Feng Yi's feet suddenly moved, and her figure quickly swept into the sky. At the same time, her palms were spread out, and in her palms, a trace of silver space power flashed out. Space blockade. The girl in the colorful dress just let out a soft shout, and the space around Bingtian suddenly fluctuated violently. Immediately, the invisible space seemed to have become substance, turning into a space prison, wrapping Bingtian in. Condensing such a real space prison is difficult for even the ordinary 4-star Do D, but Feng Yi, a girl in a colorful skirt, is able to use the tyrannical power of the wind and thunder attributes to display it. Out. Of course, the most important thing in this is that the wind and thunder attributes originally have a bit of space power, and using this as a medium, she was able to mobilize the space power that is free between heaven and earth. Moreover, the battle between Bingtian and the bloodthirsty dragon seems to be an understatement, but it is also seriously injured. Although he devoured all the Solomon people in the same way to supplement himself, he still underestimated the bloodthirsty dragon. Although he defeated the dragon in the end, in fact the last blow of the magic dragon was abruptly and severely injured Bing Tian. Bing Tian, who was seriously injured, saw Feng Yi, a girl in a colorful skirt, and several of his followers, for 3-star fighting emperors. He knew that this time it was going to be damaged here, but he was not reconciled, and he had to drag them to bury them when he died, so there was this scene. The space prison has just taken shape. That Bing Tian's body suddenly swelled to a terrifying level, and immediately, a shocking explosion appeared. Bang! The terrifying black energy air waves, like waves in the sea, swept away in all directions crazily. On the other side, Xiao Yan just saw that Bing Tian's self-destruction, and his soul force spewed out. He walked towards the body of the demon dragon, covering the entire body in a blink of an eye, as if it disappeared and didn't exist in the first place. Notice all this. Fortunately, I caught up, otherwise this terrifying self-destruction will shed its skin even if it doesn't die. The girl in the colorful skirt also said to a few followers. After resisting for a while, the space prison burst open directly. As a result, the mountain range in the cave that was originally occupied by the bloodthirsty dragon trembled violently as if it had been shaken. Huge cracks spread out like spider webs, and the beasts enslaved by the bloodthirsty dragons in the entire mountain range fell into a panic at this moment. The self-destruction, that power, is extremely terrifying. Facing such a terrifying energy storm, Feng Yi, the girl in colorful skirts, could only avoid the edge for a while, and their bodies flickered, appearing directly above the distant sky, staring solemnly at the raging energy below. Lang, being so engaged by Bing Tian, almost this mountain range will be turned into ruins. In the distance beyond the mountain range, the red Do Chi roared out like a cloud of fire, and on the cloud of fire, a slender figure stood with his hands behind his back, looking contemptuous. He ignored the many people who went to the main hall, just turned his eyes, and cast towards the place where the bloodthirsty dragon was. Apparently, this arrogant son of Wucheng also sensed this terrifying energy storm. His face changed at the moment. The two old guys Bing Tian and Bing Wu actually blew themselves up. To be able to force him to this stage, that character is really terrible. Wu Huan suddenly felt a bit bitter in his mouth. The two old men of Bing Tian and Bing Wu, he himself knows his strength, and he can be regarded as a true pride of heaven if he can force them all. Wu Huan is also very clear, and he is not an indecisive person, and a fierce light flashed in his eyes at the moment. Remembering that the so-called Xiao Yang also went in that direction, he couldn't help saying to himself, this Xiao Yang is indeed very strange, even if you are an imperial alchemist, but if you kill Bing Wu and Bing Tian it doesn't mean that you will feel better. Solomon will never sit by and watch an elder get killed. Then, he. With a gloomy smile, Wu Huan turned his head decisively, waved his hand, and went to the main hall, speeding up again. Somewhere in the mountains. Among the three attendants of the girl in the colorful skirt, an old man in white was also startled by Bing Tian's crazy actions, and immediately hurriedly carried Feng Yi, shuttled through the forest like lightning, and finally his body flashed, landing on the top of a mountain peak. Looking down at the energy storm raging in the mountains could not help but take a breath. This old guy is really crazy. Feng Yi was also frightened by the destructive energy below, making her pretty face a little pale. Not everyone can see the self-destruction of a Do Di powerhouse. To be able to force a Do Di powerhouse to the point of self-destruction, this bloodthirsty dragon is well-deserved, and it is really scary. The white-clothed old man slowly raised his head and looked at the road above the distant sky. The blurred figure that has fallen, said with some sighs. But it's strange. The body of the demon dragon was clearly still here just now. Why didn't I find it? It should have disappeared because of his self-destruction. It's a pity, but forget about it, let's focus on creation first. Let's go, miss, his self-destruction won't even have his soul left, we should go to the main hall. The old man in white said after feeling it. Go? The girl in the colorful skirt also left quickly. Is she all right? Xiao Yang also swept across the sky, but his eyesight was far less than that of his master, so naturally he could not see Feng Yi. What can she do? That hand space blockade directly killed Bing Tian's thought of pulling her to death. The Golden Dragon King smiled and shook his head, then said, but she killed Bing Tian. I am afraid that it is a real bad relationship with Solomon, and with Solomon's behavior, he will definitely send strong people to surround and kill him. The raging energy storm in the mountains lasted for about 10 minutes before gradually weakening. During this time, Xiao Yang and Yueru also retreated. This level of self-destruction, the scope of the impact is too large, and the size of the body is too large. It still stayed on the sky, and its eyes were gradually closed. But fortunately, the soul power is strong enough, and the two of them have not been discovered by the girl in the colorful skirt before. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.